The American Entrepreneur, where we interview entrepreneurs all over the world. As long as they're doing business in the United States and they're helping somebody out in the U.S., we want to hear their story. Maybe they went through something that was really difficult, they learned something from, and they can give to you guys so you can be successful in your own business. The guest we have today, his name is Michael Descheneaux, and he is from Canada. We've been meeting a lot of entrepreneurs in Canada, so thank you very much for doing this, Michael.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I reached out to you via Facebook. I see what you're doing, and I'd love to hear your story, man. Who are you? What type of business are you in? Maybe something you've learned along the way that can help our viewers out.
Awesome. So listen, I've started a financial brokerage on the foreign exchange market because it's the largest financial institution on the planet. All the banks that use the money that's being deposited every 2 weeks from a 9 to 5 goes directly onto the foreign exchange market. That's actually how they pay the interest and things like that to different accounts that you might have in a bank of your choice. So what I kind of wanted to do was bring the aspects of, multi-level marketing, something that we know works with the youth, and kind of mix it with a bigger model that's considered kind of more mature, right? Like the bank model. So I took the best, out of MLM, which is the referral side, and kind of brought it with the no service fee and the no membership fee of a bank, right? People bring their money to a bank, they deposit it without any kind of fees for the deposit, and then they're able to kind of withdraw during the course of the month, but it's still their money. They still control it. So I wanted to take that same model and kind of transfer it into the, a financial brokerage. So basically, people are able to come to my financial brokerage, deposit a sum of money, be linked up to a professional, just like you would if you were going to, Shearson Lehman or some type of other brokerage company, and you're able to actually capitalize through a professional. So we don't have any overhead. We don't have any, like 6,000 representatives that we have to, cut and give out percentages to everybody. So we can give a lot back to the client. So I actually partnered up with Vantage FX, which is an Australian broker, and we're moving into the United States. We have partners there right now, and we actually have a charity component. So we don't want to just change, the world. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Actually I've never heard of that, by the way. That's beautiful, by the way.
So here, I'll kind of fill you in on the charity because I think that that's what makes Descheneaux Investments very different and unique from every other company out there. Now, listen, I said this was a for-profit. Sometimes that scares people because they're like, oh my God, what does that mean? So this is what our charity kind of consists of. Instead of regrouping people in, inner cities or, refugee camps where you're essentially just teaching them how to live in despair and kind of get free stuff like food and things like that, you're not teaching the person how to fish, right? You're just giving them half a fish that won't even last them until tomorrow. So instead of, like I said, regrouping these people, we want to go out where they live, in their communities, in their rural areas, and set up kind of shop near them. Now, the whole concept is to bring the foreign exchange to these people. Now, 97% of the world does not know what the foreign exchange is, yet it's the largest financial market on the planet. So what we were thinking was, me and my master trader, we would like to develop a program, which we will in the future, and actually go to these places, install little schools with, laptops that are donated by libraries, different schools in North America and Europe, and teach these kids in classes of 30 to 50 how to trade on the foreign exchange.
Financial education, man, that is something that's lacking in every school across the world.
Exactly, and kind of give them, a sense of empowerment and give them the opportunity to fish not only in their country, but anywhere in the world where there's a stable Wi-Fi connection. Now, here's where we ensure that there is some type of money coming in and only through successful students. So we have them sign a royalty agreement before they start the course. And what this is it's a royalty agreement that says that they'll pay a small amount of their earnings either yearly or on a monthly basis. Now, that's still to be decided. Of course, it's not a big amount. It's just something to give back to the charity to help other kids and other families like themselves. So we take them from a young age, about 6 or 7 years old, where they're very, they're like a sponge, right? And we teach them all the things they need to know from our master trader of trading. So they should be able to go and get them about, I would say, hundreds of thousands of dollars within their career just from that knowledge alone. We also will start them off with about 100 USD currency, which in most countries is a lot of money.
Yes.
I know a family right now in Madagascar that we're actually working with to sponsor in her village. Her name is Patricia. She has 5 kids, and she only lives on $45 Canadian a month, and she works about, I think she said like about 10 to 15 hours a day sewing for a company. And actually, I met her through Facebook, and the reason why we got into contact was because she was talking to me day after day. And to be very honest with you, like anybody in the United States or in Canada, North America, seeing a Facebook account from a third world country, I thought it was a virus or some type of
Correct.
program. So I didn't engage in the conversation until I would say about 7 or 8 days later. After every single day, she would send me some type of different greeting. And I said, you know what, let's just see how good this, virus is. Let's try to, mix it up a bit. And I started talking with her, and this is when the bombshell hit. And myself coming from, a very not wealthy family. My parents were they were very elderly. They passed away, actually, both of them. My father when I was 8 years old, and my mother when I was 15. Man. That's okay. I think it actually gave me sort of the resilience needed to become an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur, you need to be able to face adversity. And that's, I think, something that I want every viewer to understand is if you are going to be successful, you are going to hit walls. You are going to hit losses. They will crush you and you will feel the weight of the world. But it's good to understand that the longer you take sinking in that hole, the longer it'll take you to get out of it and actually find a solution. And that's, I know everybody says this, and it's kind of easy to say when you're not in the hole, but from a person being, started from nothing. I was sleeping in my car in Kenmore in front of a hippie house, they call it. You know what I mean? Sleeping in there with a little heater. And the idea hit me, and I understood that being an entrepreneur, and this is very important to everybody that's watching, you do not need money and you do not need education. What you need is an idea. You need to pour your heart into an idea that will change or innovate a problem that's going on in the world. There's a bunch of people that have money out there. There's a bunch of people that have expertise that went to college. You don't need that. And that's, I think, the spirit of entrepreneurship, is it's not based on some fancy school or a bank account. It's based on something that comes from your heart, and it's based on an idea that truly you believe in. And that's kind of what I found, coming from zero to, owning a financial brokerage at 22, it's all about the mentality and finding a different approach. Just before we got on this call, me and Mike, my Skype wasn't working, and it was actually bugging me. I couldn't get onto my Microsoft account. It was hectic, so I had to find a different approach even to that small problem. And that's kind of what entrepreneurship is. But to get back to that Madagascar family, she actually asked me, and this is what the bombshell was. She said, can you find me work? And from a person that was older than me in another country, that never happened to me. Someone coming onto my Facebook and asking me, can you find me work? You look so successful. I'm sure you have partners around the world that can find me work. I'll do anything. And that literally hit a chord at home, because I was like, if someone could believe in me across the world who's never seen me and think that I can maybe help them, not by giving them money, but by finding them work, I mean, there has to be something I can do. So, and that's where the idea really stemmed out of, I'm able to help these people and teach them a skill that, a lot of people in, North America are wanting to learn now, Forex trading, because it's so versatile. And that's where I found the value and the fulfillment is really helping not only people in North America, but people all over the world, and changing the general collective consciousness of this planet.
Man, everything you're saying really resonates. I guess, when did your entrepreneurial journey begin? At what age? Because we're 22 years old. I was just finding it wasn't what I really wanted, because I went to college. I did the whole go to college and then figure out yourself after you're $60,000 in debt. So what prompted you to say, you know what, I want to create that? What age?
Okay. Well, I believe it was about, right now I'm going on 23, so it was about 3-4 years ago, around the age of 17, 18. To be very honest with you, I was brought from the United States to Canada with my brother because both my parents had passed, and he actually was with his new girlfriend living in a beautiful house and stuff, and I wasn't used to this, and it was kind of a big eye-opener to what the other half was living, right, the upper middle class. And I kind of got lazy, to be honest with you, and I wasn't really... how can I say this, getting along with my stepmother. So I decided to leave the house, and I believe that actually started my entrepreneurial journey, because I went into an apartment, had a bunch of difficulties, somebody left, wasn't able to pay the rent, and ended up kind of on the street, in a gang, different things, and I realized that if I wanted something more, it was going to have to come through me. And actually the biggest thing that happened was I got my driver's license by myself. And when I was able to pass, I know it's small.
You never hear that. That's so crazy. Yeah.
Very small things, but what it did for me was it actually opened the doors and said, Michael, you know what? Something that you thought was so hard, you can get it done by yourself I wasn't living in Quebec anymore. I got my driver's license this year, believe it or not, at 22 years old, because I didn't have that financial support from my family in Quebec. In Quebec, it costs $1,000 to get your license, and it takes a full year. So it was always kind of that wall that hit me, and I was always dependent on other people. And when I actually was able to get that, it opened a whole new horizon for me, and it made me realize that it's very small, but everything was possible because I could now go out and make those connections by myself. And my first entrepreneurial company that I actually started was in Kenmore and Banff, Alberta, which are resort towns. And I was working for this lady that was having us clean luxury apartments and condos and mansions. And she threw me in a mansion. You guys can go look on the internet. It's a $12.7 million mansion in Karen's Landing in Kenmore. And we started cleaning that. It took 16 man hours to do. And she actually just threw us in the house and said, you know what, you clean it, I'm going to come and pick you guys back up. And I understood that she had one of the best companies and that I could do this myself. And that's really where, through all the suffering from the last 3 years of, hitting walls, of making bad decisions, of picking myself up and falling down, of making mistakes, that I said, you know what, I got my driver's license, I'm going to try this out myself. She's only driving us around. Let's do this. And that's when I started acquiring clients, charging $40 an hour for 3 hours of work, doing laundry, dishes for these high-end clients. And that's what got me into that demographic that allowed me to understand, the investments that some of these people were making, where their interests were, because I would talk with these people, right? I would come into their house and I would have a conversation and start cleaning. And I believe that that's actually where it really started. That's what summed up the journey, is the suffering on the street, and then the getting the driver's license, and then being put into a company where I was doing most of the work. I was actually doing, I would say, 80% of the work, and this lady was just driving us around. And that was where it really stemmed and said, Michael, geez, you could do anything.
So, and what I'm noticing is that you're a great communicator. Now, as soon as you took that step into being an entrepreneur, did you notice that some of your personal skills started to refine, or did you get better at certain things in life? Were you able to see more opportunities and become a better communicator and grow personally much faster than, let's just say, when you're working those 9-to-5 jobs?
What I learned from the difference from a 9-to-5 or being an entrepreneur is really the possibilities that you're open to. When you go to a 9-to-5, you're kind of conditioned to do one thing, speak with only the people around you, sometimes not even speak. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's very different. You want to make those connections. You want to strive and kind of have that mutually beneficial agreement between two parties, that you maybe just met. You want to grow. And that's something that I found that's different, is the 9-to-5 tends to make you, how can I say this, memorize and get good at one task, right? And not really develop what you have or any of, your passions. When you're an entrepreneur, every single day is kind of like a free day to you. You can choose to wake up whenever you want, and it's up to you to do what you feel like. And make those connections and see, the people around you, what they have to offer and how you can benefit them. I say that, becoming an entrepreneur, the skills that I guess I refined, obviously was communication, but just my social skills, confidence, being able to go up in front of somebody and not really caring what their perception is about you, as long as you know that you're offering something good and you're genuine and the intention behind it is 100% good, then, you're able to go up in front of everybody, public speak, do videos or anything like that, because you do have that mindset of, it's not that bad, I'll evolve. And that's something that I've learned from different mentors too, is, I would see them putting out videos that I thought were horrible, but they would always evolve. And that's the important part, is never to stay in one lane. If you see that, the grass is greener on the other side and there's a door, by all means, open it and go see that grass and take the opportunity to go and see what's on the other side of the fence. Don't stay on the side of the fence and watch and try to, wish if you were on that side. There's, you have legs, there's an opportunity at every corner, right? I mean, like I said, 3 months ago, I was sleeping in a car, and now, things have changed, and it's just because of the connections I've made. And again, I want to stress the fact that you do not need money. An entrepreneur is somebody that kind of does a cheat code, right? What is something that we can't buy from somebody? What is something you can't buy back?
I cannot buy work ethic. I cannot buy drive. I cannot buy determination.
How about even more simpler than that, Mike? Simpler than that.
Let's say you can't buy energy. True energy.
You can't buy time.
Time.
You can't buy your time back, right?
Right,
But
right.
what can you do, Mike? You can buy someone else's time, right? And in this world, every single person does not make money. They get it transferred. That's very important for every viewer out there to understand this, is nobody makes money besides central, printing presses or treasuries. The minute it gets printed, it is now transferred to people in exchange for a service or just a gift or anything, right? It just depends on the person that's at the top of the pecking order. So you don't need to spend years at college putting yourself in debt when you understand this principle. An entrepreneur kind of cuts in, like I said, and does a cheat code and makes the idea that everybody else is not conditioned to think of, and then goes and hires the people that put 7 years of their life in a specific task. And I'm going to give you an example right now. If you're sick, are you going to go and study 7 years at Harvard or Yale and then go and heal yourself? No, you're going to take your insurance and you're going to go to the hospital and you're going to get an expert doctor that put 7 years of his life, and you're going to get the same type of treatment.
I like that phrase, man. I really do. That's good. It's basically, I think the school system is broken for entrepreneurs. So you as an entrepreneur are a problem solver. You are trying to create your own path. You're trying to create freedom. You are not, put in a box and then you follow this one path your whole life. You're constantly looking for opportunities, and the education system does not train that. And maybe there needs to be some type of education that helps people out. And that's what DreamStarters University is, just offering resources for entrepreneurs to see what it's like, and maybe some of the mistakes to stay away from, and then some of the things to do to be successful.
I'd say one of the things that, to stay away from it, at least in my industry, is, in the equation that I'm doing right now, the trader on the currency market is very important, right? That's the only contingency or variable in my equation, right? I don't have to, be dependent on, other workers that come in late, or if my truck breaks down, or if the weather's not good. It's only this person. And what I found is I went through 4 traders and lost money, and each of them was supposed to be a professional. So to the people out there that want to start their own financial brokerage or want to start a business with someone that's you think that are actually, professional, ask them to put in money. I know this sounds weird, and I know this, you might want to put yourself in a position where, hey, I'm the person bringing the idea. I need this person. I want them to see the value. I want to make it so easy for them. That is the wrong case. You won't need that person. This trader that I'm working with now, he's putting in $20,000 into the PAM of his own money. And that just proves that he's good enough, and he can take the risk, and he's confident. Before, I would just throw money onto these traders like, don't worry about it. Just come to me. I'll give you some money, trade, and it won't matter. It's a risk-free opportunity for you. And I was actually taking away from my value. And that's something that I want everybody that's watching as well to understand is you have value. You're bringing an idea that they didn't think of. You want to bring them into your idea where they can start making money and grow, right? And if they're not able to put in the 2 cents or the time, then that should really, sound an alarm and say, well, maybe they're not 100% devoted to this idea or this business, and maybe this is not the right person to partner up with.
Right. Yeah. That's another thing, going back to, I know it's a little bit off subject, but the employee mindset compared to the entrepreneurial mindset is basically you have to rely on your confidence to keep taking that next step forward. The employee basically has to wake up, make sure they're at work, and then they stay till 5 o'clock. But the entrepreneur is constantly looking deep down in their soul and saying, do I have what it takes? And then they have to answer that with a yes to make that next step.
Yes, and sometimes it can be hard. You're looking at people around you that are doing different things that kind of maybe bring you into their entourage, and you're seeing their success, and your particular project is not working at that moment just as much as theirs is, but you still have to keep in your lane. And that's something that's very difficult is everybody says this, not to give up, but I can't stress this enough, because through my own personal journeys, I've hit walls and, been on the floor crying, been on the floor just, trying to figure out what's going on. And, everybody that's watching, you need to understand that that's going to happen. Being an entrepreneur is taking risks. You're taking a risk to become something that's above average. Only 1% of the world controls 99% of the wealth.
Amazing.
They're doing something different that not everybody can do. And that's because they have the dedication and drive and self-motivation. When people are telling you it's a bad idea, when your parents are saying this is not going to make you money, when teachers are saying this is not the right path to take, but if you feel fulfilled, the money will come. And there's this example, I'm not good, I don't know what her name is, but it was an Indian person, and she was being driven by her parents to become a doctor, and she actually dropped out of Harvard or Yale, whatever she was, to become a basket weaver or something, and her statues and art was put in front of billion-dollar buildings in New York and stuff, and now she's making more than any doctor would ever make in their profession. And of course, her family's like, you did a good job. I don't know where this came from. But, it's always to follow your lane that gives you fulfillment. The money will come after if every day you can wake up and be happy enough to do the job, regardless if the money's not coming in right now. And I'm not saying a 9-to-5 is not important. Not all of us cannot do the 9-to-5. We need it to give us that start income. But know that use the income intelligently, save it up, spend it wisely as well. Don't just save it for, I'm going to save it for a house or these big ticket items. Save it to create passive income. And like I said, this is why I chose the foreign exchange, because, opening a restaurant or, doing real estate investing or any startup that, requires infrastructure, you need hundreds of thousands of dollars or just tens of thousands. So it's a lot of money at a base salary to make. It takes years to do that.
Right.
But if you do get a good small job and, you build up your credit where it's okay, you can go and get a $10,000, $20,000 loan, and you can go on the financial market and make an investment that can actually create right off the bat passive income for you on a monthly basis. And this is what I want to bring to people. I want to take away that stress from that 2-week, pay period and get something where, I have a small little nest egg. What can I do with this nest egg? And open people's eyes that, instead of putting into, real estate, which is, was a good idea and it still could be, put it in something that's more tangible to you that you can take out and use for other things. Because once you lock in that $100,000 into that property, if something goes wrong with that area or that value of the property goes down, you are not only stuck with infrastructure that you have to pay taxes on and, you have to upkeep, but now you lost all the money. You lost your big nest egg. With foreign exchange, it's very different. When you find a good broker or when you find a respectable trader, they're not supposed to have a bigger drawdown than 5% or 10% max. There is no way they're supposed to lose your nest egg. No way. And if something happens and it's lost, it's because that wasn't a broker that you did enough due diligence on, because there's supposed to be things that are called stop losses. There are other ways of investing, right? I always say that if you have $100,000 or if you're blessed enough to receive, an inheritance of $50,000 or more, put that in some form of passive income. Try to invest in something that you don't have overhead. Internet these days is the best. E-commerce, different levels of investing that doesn't require you to go and purchase a building or hire, 5 or 10 or 20 employees. You can do this with a small strategic team. Like right now, I have about, I would say, 5 marketers that are working for me, and they're all working for me, and I haven't paid them. They're working on commission because they know that if they rake in a $100,000 account and they're making a master distributor's percentage, which is 10% of residual monthly gains, that's passive income already. Yep. We have a trader that's able to, do anywhere between, I would say, to be conservative, because he's done 311% during the election, but that's not really something that's consistent. So anywhere between 15 and 50% a month, ROI. If you have, 20, 30, 40 grand, and you're, we put this in American dollars, you can go off to Thailand and retire. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's there's ways of getting to what you want. It's just that you need to be associated to the right person. I actually boiled down, and I personally believe I invented this. I have no other person that I know that says it the way I do. There are 2 things in this world that will make you money, taking in consideration that nobody actually makes money. They get it transferred to them, right? So it's 2 words. Now, what are these 2 words, Mike?
I have no idea. Go ahead. What is that?
I'm going to drop the bombshell, guys. It is time and association. Those are the only 2 ways on this whole planet, no matter what you do. If you pick up garbage to a president of the United States, the only way you're able to make money is by time and association, by associating to another person and giving the time for that service or that deed or whatever they asked you to go buy, and then they will give you the money, they'll transfer it to you. So by understanding that type of equation, you're able to kind of move through life in a different way. That's why multi-level marketing works, but it's not something that is a viable business because it's based on the motivation of a large number of people. but it works because it's based on time and association.
Time. Yeah,
So,
and the wealthy use time to their advantage, and I understand that. I didn't get it until probably 23 years old, whenever I really started getting into the entrepreneurial journey. But every day you need to become stronger. You need to become more valuable, and the wealthy become more valuable, whether in a down market or an up market. And therefore, every day that passes, there's more money in their bank account, or they're more valuable person, so they can ask for more from their product or service that they offer. More
and
eyeballs are on them.
what I want to add on to that is the wealthy, they've known about the foreign exchange for a very long time. And this is something that's very new, the foreign exchange. It's actually the late 1990s is when the internet brokers and, internet started actually becoming universal. And that's where you didn't have to have $50 million in capital anymore to go and actually participate on the foreign exchange. This is why a great deal of people that are either, I would say 30 or 40 years old, well, maybe more 40 to 50 and 60, don't know what this is because it was not available to them. And it just wasn't. You had to be either an institution, a philanthropist, a, small business owner that had, 10 or 20 restaurants. You had to be somebody like that to be able to actually make gains off of exchanging currencies. But now that's just not the case. It's something that is being widely available to a lot of people. And that's why I believe that in the next 10 years, we'll see a massive change, because for everybody that's out there right now that's being pushed to go to become a lawyer, a doctor, or any type of thing that, requires a lot of studying, if you would take that same amount of time and that same amount of drive and motivation and apply it to learning the foreign exchange market, and then you would just take all the money that you would have put in schooling, I can guarantee this from the bottom of my heart that you will be more wealthy, more fulfilled, more free than you would ever be at being a doctor. Don't forget, it's really fun getting that $300,000 a year, but sometimes you have to work about 16 hours a day. You have to see sick people all day long. You have to write pills that actually help this, the symptom, but not the cause. So, in the long term, you're actually killing that patient through renal failure. And, I've seen it happen, to grandparents and things like that. So, it is a good profession, going and studying for long periods of time. But there are other ways today for a smart, intellectual individual that has drive and, I guess a little nest egg to be able to go and do something different.
I think if you're an entrepreneur, deep down inside you're not set for the standard career path. And in the way we learn, I would have to say, and I just seen it across from many of the interviews that I've done, we learn in a different way, and we learn from experience. And I think that the people who know they're entrepreneurs will not settle. And I believe that freedom, destiny, legacy, wealth, all of that comes together, and they're able to live a passionate life all around, whether it's in their family, whether it's with their social circles. They're able to it's contagious. They're able to help others get where they want, and that also gives them energy. So we're a different breed out there, man. And I think that anybody who wants to be a doctor, they either know it. It's not like I want to be a doctor, lawyer, or this type of employee, or an entrepreneur. It's you want to be an entrepreneur, and that's it.
And I can, just to add on what you said, I can attest to that. I learned by fire, right? And it's not the best way. And I can tell you guys out there that, the reason why people, read and do all these things is to not learn by fire, skip what that person actually did. If I would have understood that giving money to a trader actually destabilizes them and makes them nonchalant, if I would have read that somewhere or got that piece of information, I would have probably saved myself $4,000. So reading is not about sitting down and being a nerd. It's not about sitting down and feeling superior to other people. It's about sitting down and trying to not make the same mistakes as somebody else did. They took the time to write the book and kind of tell you what not to do. It's not to be cocky. It's to save butt from losing money and, learning by fire. Because learning by fire sometimes it's good. It'll snap you into shape. But sometimes you'll get unnecessary drawbacks from that, right? So you want to just, read up as much as you can, look at these successful people and take after them, get a mentor. I was told that, the 5 people that you surround yourself with will be your future.
For sure.
So, I went to, it's called I think it's the Entrepreneur Pod or something. It's in Calgary. It's at a co-workspace. There's actually a meeting tonight. And the last meeting last Tuesday they had was Mike Wolf, a very prominent real estate agent in the United States. And he said something that, rang a bell with me is, even myself, when I go and see my friends, I feel like the littlest person in the room. And he's a multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it means, is don't be afraid to be a guy who seems like in the room, or maybe you're the weakest link, because you are going to get stronger. You don't want to be the strongest link in a weak chain of friends, right? You want to either elevate the people that are around you, and the people that want to elevate will follow you to those new heights, or you want to find those people that are already there, that want to help you and want to motivate and mentor you.
Yeah, and then just to go back to what you just said there, I don't know if you ever read the book Why We Want You to Be Rich by Kiyosaki and Donald Trump, but Kiyosaki felt the same way whenever he started writing with Trump. He goes, who am I? I'm just a multi-millionaire. Trump's a billionaire. Who am I?
Yeah.
And Kiyosaki was on the best-selling list for 6 years straight. So there are always these people who maybe make you feel inferior. That doesn't mean you're nothing. You're above, maybe the masses, but it doesn't mean that you're nothing if there's other people above you. You can't look at it that way.
And let's just look at it this way again, to the model that I told you guys before, is if someone is ahead of you, right, don't think of it as something that you won't be able to get to. They just had more time and association with the right people. That's it. They spent more time talking. They spent more time making those connections. That doesn't mean that that won't happen to you. It just means that they got a head start. It's like if you're trying to compete with someone in NASCAR, but you leave 10 seconds after the start of the race. Like, it's, you're going to get there, you're going to finish the race, but just not at the same time. And that's normal. It happens. If someone is, has been alive for, 10 years before you, and, you've gone fat, you're ahead of them, that doesn't necessarily mean they won't catch up. It just means that maybe in your time, in your experiences, you associated to the right people, and the experiences that you got through that association gave you a different perspective, right? It's all about perspective. There's somebody that I hold very dear, that I would, maybe mention. His name is Jonathan Emmerich. To everybody out there, every entrepreneur, I suggest going to watch his videos. And he says something very interesting, that reality is a holographic construct of your perception. Let that sink in a little bit. So, and he worked with NASA. This is a very prominent individual. And if you understand that, then you understand that all that, what they say about having a good attitude or a positive mentality, that will actually create your reality, your perception. If you're depressed and you don't have that drive to get out of the depression, or just see things a little differently, you will continually create that, reoccurring perception of depression and of unvaluableness, and kind of, you won't be able to get out of that. So, from this conversation, take these things. Take that time and association are the only ways that you will make money. That you don't need to have money or a really big bachelor's or master's fancy degree. You just need an idea that someone didn't take the time out to make. You need to sit down, go to a coffee shop, go in your room, take the time to find a problem that you can innovate, and put some time on it while you're going to school, or while you're doing that 9 to 5. And when you feel that idea has, you've thought about it, you kind of stretched it out, and you're landing it, then take that idea and try to go and get investors, go in different meeting groups, get that idea out there, right? And innovate that idea, because you will find the money. Someone somewhere, like a billionaire like Donald Trump, is going to say, Jesus, you only want 10 grand for that idea? Here's 10 grand, go have fun. I want 10% or 20% of the company. Who cares? Make another company. Another thing, watch Dragon's Den. Dragon's Den is beautiful. People always go on Dragon's Den and they screw up in the evaluation of the company. Don't evaluate your company too high. Don't shoot yourself in the foot before you've made a profit. Be humble. Accept the money. It doesn't matter. Let them take 50% of the company. Go make yourself another one. If that's the company that gives you the freedom to go be creative and make another, source of passive income, take it. Don't be greedy. That's what I've learned of watching all those episodes. It's so funny. They all have good ideas, and they don't get the money because they give, such a high valuation of their company.
Exactly.
Aim low and get, a little bit of money. And then what's funny too is, beyond the money, again, time and association. If you're associating to a shark or a dragon, and they are billionaires or multi-millionaires, why would you
want to be associated with them? Do whatever
exactly.
you can.
Even if they gave you $1, if they're going to use their connections to help you, you've already made it. You already made it to the 1%. You have a connection now, a business connection to them. And that's what I find that people, don't necessarily maybe understand is, again, it's time and association. If you're associating to someone that's here and they have a bunch of, networks and, different things that they've created through the whole life, you're essentially cheating again. You're taking the whole time that they spent getting all that stuff, and you're just going whoop, and you're going to the top, right? And you're getting all of those opportunities or all those connections that they made.
Associate yourself with the people that you want to become. It's the best way to put it, man. Beautiful.
Exactly.
One last question for you, Mike. Michael Descheneaux, I'm saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Will be remembered as blank. I always talk about dream obituary. Real quick, in a sentence, how will you be remembered? That's a deep one.
That's a deep one. Actually, that's the first time I've actually been asked that. Thank you so much. I'm honored. So here, let me give it a few seconds to think of it.
Yeah. And just to give you a quick little synopsis, in my motivational speeches that I do at a circuit called Motivation Unleashed seminars, what I always talk about is writing your dream obituary, because it's all about reverse engineering. How do you want to be remembered? So if you think about the end goal, and you'll be able to reverse engineer it back to where you are today. So therefore, you're able to feel if you're on the right path or the wrong path, and if you're on the wrong path, how to get on the right path.
Mm-hmm. I think Michael Descheneaux will be remembered as a person that inspired others and kind of was an image of constant evolution, right? I started out as somebody that, was from a very, I would say, poor family. I, was brought into a wealthier family and kind of ran away from it, through my stepmother, and found that, evolving and kind of just by time and association, you can get to where you want to go. And, to always not give up. So we'll be remembered as someone that inspired others and that was a constant evolutionary kind of linear timeline, right? I wasn't the same person I was yesterday, and I hope that everybody realizes that's watching that tomorrow is a new day. There's new possibilities. You will be someone different tomorrow if you choose to be. You're not stuck in the same reality every day. There are people out there that are homeless, that are on the street. I was like that. Why are they still there? Why are they still on the street? Why are they still living, day to day? I was at the same spot, being at 22 years old, coming from a poor family and then being associated to a wealthier one. It's all about the decisions you take every day. If you do, the right thing in your mind that actually will get you somewhere or progress. I read a book that was called Turning Pro. And I believe that it kind of helped me because it split your life into two ways. And then we'll get on with this after, but it split into two ways. Your life as an amateur and your life as a pro. Right? It doesn't yeah. Have any contingency. So, as an amateur, you're doing habits that produce incapacity, right? Which means playing video games, which means going on Facebook, which means not eating or not, getting up at the right hour. So what does the pro do? He just cuts down on those habits of incapacity. And by doing that simple way of thinking, you can turn pro tomorrow.
I love it, man. I love it. It's some of the phrases I've never heard before, and I truly love it, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this, man. And let's stay in contact after this video, okay, man?
For sure. Thank you so much.
I love it.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
Anyway, any ways for people to contact you? I meant to ask you that. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any ways for people to reach you?
For sure. Hey, so actually Facebook right now is probably the best option. I have my web developers that are making the website. It is in development. We do have our Twitter feed as well, and our Instagram. I do have Instagram too. I just got into Instagram, so there's not a lot of photos, but I would say Facebook, hit me up there. I have my phone number, direct phone number too, so you can speak to the CEO of a financial brokerage, ask questions, ask advice. I offer anybody who wants to jump in and become an account acquisition manager, which just is doing some casual promotional work for my company. Anything you do for me, I will give back, 100-fold. I have, web designers that can help you guys for websites that would do it for free. I have, different connections, photographers, people that I can put you in contact that will help you. I'm here to feel a sense of fulfillment and change your life. And by helping, changing your life, hopefully help and change mine.
You got it, man. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate everything that you portrayed to everybody here, man. I love that you've been through some tough times, and that means a lot to me, and hopefully to the audience, to show that you can come from nothing and become something. So thanks a lot, man.
For sure.
All right, guys, if you're an entrepreneur out there.
Have a great day.
Hold on for a second. Yeah, hold on for 1 second. Guys, if you're an entrepreneur out there and you have a story to share, we want to hear your story. Reach out to us, and maybe your story can help somebody out there trying to become the next American entrepreneur. Take care, guys.